This is the second part of the Tracking Changes tutorial for Microsoft Word 2010. So now that we've gone through and done the changes in our Word document, I'm going to show you how to change the review options or the view options to the 4 different options that Word gives you. So again, here under your Review tab, next to your Track Changes icon, it should say Original Show Markup. If you single click on the arrow next to that, we're going to go through the different views. The first one is Original. If I click on Original, it brings my document back to the original view without any of the changes. So I don't have any of my font changed, my title is still the original, and I have none of my formatting changes either. I'm going to go back up here again to the original. Click on the arrow, I'm going to change it again to Original Show Markup. This is the one we were in a few seconds ago. Under the Original Show Markup, what happens is in the document itself, the white part, you have all of your formatting changes, but they look like anything that you have deleted. So anything that's going to be in your white area of your document is going to be any of the deletions. So here we deleted the first half of my document, and then if I scroll down, the paragraphs that I changed with the formatting didn't actually come up with the different fonts and the sizes that I changed. Instead, under my Original Show Markup view, here on my right-hand side, this is the right-hand view pane for my tracking changes. This has, in these little bubbles, anything that I've inserted and any of the formatting issues. So under here, under my Insert, I said I've inserted Yawning Cools the Brain. And then in the body of my paragraph, it showed me what I have deleted. And then again, if I scroll down, it shows me anything that I have formatted, any of the font, here in the bubble, even though it does not come up here in my document. I'm going to now change my review, if I click again up here, to my Final Show Markup. Now my Final Show Markup looks very different from my Original Show Markup. Instead, here in the white area, it's going to change any of the insertions that I have put in and any of the actual formatting. So in my Original Show Markup, for example, it showed my original title with a red line through it, showing that I had deleted my original title. In my Final Show Markup, it has removed all of that and it has put in red anything that I have inserted. So my new title has inserted right here. And then again, if I scroll down, any of the formatting that I changed with my font has actually come up here in my white space for my document, which wasn't the case under my Original Show Markup. And then again, here in my right-hand Tracking Changes pane, I have all of my deletions and my formatting. So instead of all of my insertions being in this right markup area, I have what I deleted in a little bubble, and then any of my formatting. So again, I've formatted my font, and I've bold and italicized right here, and the same thing down in my document. Then any of the changes that I have a red dotted line to wherever those changes have been made as well. My last view, if I scroll up here again to where it says Final Show Markup, is my final view. So I'm going to click on Final. Now my Final takes away that markup area here on the right and has come up with all of my final options. So any of my formatting changes come up in my Final without any of that red marking on my final version as well. The other thing that I can do is I can insert comments. So before I do that, I want to show you any of the markup options as well. So I'm going to change my markup view again under next where it says Final to my Final Show Markup. If I want to change any of these options, I can also do that. Under where it says Final Show Markup, there's a Show Markup icon. I'm going to click on where it says Show Markup, and I can choose or select or unselect any of the comments. I can choose my balloons if I want to show my revisions in my balloons, or inline. So if I click on Show All Revisions Inline, it just puts all of my changes here in my document and takes away my markup area as well. But I'm going to go back to where it says Show Markup, and I'm going to change that to Show Revisions in Balloons, like we just have. So those are where all of my options are for my different markup options. The next thing I'm going to show you is you can also insert comments. If you don't necessarily want to delete something, I can insert a comment for suggestions in my document as well. So for example, let's say I want to change or I want to give a comment on this second paragraph. what I want to do is I want to click and I hold. I'm going to highlight whatever I want to comment on. So I'm going to comment on one of the paragraphs in the document. And then again up under my Review tab, I go here to where it says New Comment, and I insert a new comment. It highlights the section that I want to comment on in red, and then it inserts a little comment bubble here on the right-hand side. My cursor is blinking in this bubble, and I can now insert a comment into my comment bubble without actually changing the whole document. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to accept and reject these changes. So again, the tracking changes option is really nice for editing purposes because you can either accept the changes that have been changed in your document or you can reject them. So before you go through and accept and reject changes, you want to make sure that your cursor is blinking at the beginning of the document. So once I'm finished with my comment here on my right-hand pane, I'm going to scroll up with my mouse and then a single click at the very beginning of my document. I then go up here to my review pane again, my Review tab. I go up to where it says Accept or Reject. If I click on the word Accept with my arrow here on the upper right-hand corner, I can select either Accept Change and move to Next, or Accept Change. I'm going to say Accept Change and move to Next. What that's going to do is it's going to accept the change of my title from the longer title to Yawning Cools the Brain. It's going to move automatically to my next change. So I'm going to hit Accept and move to Next. I'll do the same thing for the next change. So I again go here and I say Accept, move to Next, and again Accept, move to Next. Now the next change that it's highlighted, as I'm moving through, it highlights in a darker red line, and it also selects with blue what change I'm working with in terms of accepting it or rejecting it. So this next change is for the formatting font of the first paragraph. So I'm going to reject this change. I go up here to my Reject option. I single click on the word and I say Reject and move to Next, and it changes back to my original formatting without any of the changes. Again, I'm going to go back up. Now it's talking about the comment. I'm going to say Reject and move to Next. And then the last change here in my document is my last paragraph with, again, the font changed to a little bigger font and bold and underlined. And I'm going to accept this change. So I go up here to my Accept option, I single click, and I say again, Accept and move to Next. Once it's finished with accepting and rejecting the changes, a window will pop up here in the center that says the document contains no comments or tracked changes, and I hit OK. The last step for the tracking changes is once you're ready to print your document and you've accepted and rejected all of the changes, or you've gone through the comments, you want to change your view again to Final. So again, under the Review tab, I click up here to my Review options, I select the arrow, and I select my Final option, and I can now print my document with all of the changes.